Hello, teacher and classmates. Today we are talk about big changes between the generation of our grandparents and ours. Some years ago, the grandparents' life was different because they are influenced by conservative culture. It's important to mention that they keep their behavior so far, and it's unusual for them younger custom because we have an open mind and our parents or grandparents have a closed one. So we made an interview our parents and grandparents to know their opinions about the changes between their generations and ours. They talked about common topics such as gender rules, education, family, dates, marriage a few years ago, both in Japan and Peru. Now I'm going to talk about some changes in Peru that my grandparents told me. First, when I asked my mother, she told me that in the past, the female gender was considered a weak gender and male gender was seen like a strong gender. The situation associates the woman with simple jobs like to do errands and chores, and men had to get a job that allowed to earn a lot of money to satisfy the necessity of his family. So, engineering driver, doctor, mechanic, police officer, and others were careers default for males, but nursing and housewife mainly were careers for the women. However, my grandmother told me that now she sees that in my generation, as women and men have the same jobs. Second, my grandfather told me that about education, the discrimination was evident before only received by men because it was believed that all of them must study in a school, in a university career to become a professional, and he can support his family. On the other hand, it was believed that women wouldn't have to study because they would work in her house caring for her children. However, this situation changed because education is the same for everyone in either elementary, in high school, or university education. Third, my mother told me that in the case of the family, it had papers established for women and men. My mother remembered that in her house, her father was the host because he was characterized by giving orders to his family, supporting them with money, and others. On the other hand, about her mom, she has always been cooking for her family and taking care of her sons because she can study a career. However, she told me that her mother and her father have changed their mindset about these topics because they realize that everything is involved. Finally, before it was usual that people didn't choose a husband or wife because most of the parents held their costumes in. And in the past, there exists a kind of marriage called marriage by concert. So they look like a match for their sons because they felt that their thinkings would be better than their sons' decisions. Also, parents prefer a person who is older than a girl, and because it was believed that an older person could supply a woman economically and might be a mature person who guides his match to build a family. However, we can think that those marriages didn't work even in the future. They would be divorced, but it happens that they are one of the couples with more years together. It's important to mention that at the beginning they don't fall in love, but then they manage to be a couple very much in love. Trilce?
Okay. Um, uh, I did the interview to my grandmother as well because she's my grandmother from the family of my mom because she is the only one that I have. Like she told me that for the marriage, um, it was like a tradition in the past in Peru. So it was like the girl always, or the people always, or they used to get married when they was really, really young people. And she told me as well that her marriage was like organized or something like that because she knew, or her fathers or her parents knew that she had to get married at 18 or 19 or something like that. She was really young. And now about the Peruvian family. In the past, the sexism and the machism exist a lot. So, and now it's still existing. It's still a problem, but then in that time it was considered like a normal situation, not like a problem. The discrimination of gender, it was considered like a normal situation, especially for the women, for women. The the situation, the social, or the, I think for the society, she was considered like sweetness, the person who has to take care of the children, and and the man was considered like the person who can who is who has more power, who have to give the money to the family. And sometimes many people used to say, and she told me that, and as well I heard that when I was I don't know, when I was a kid, when I was the man or the father is the brain of the family, and the woman is the head of the family. So um, I don't agree with that. Peruvian education. Our education, the system education in Peru is it's a complicated situation actually, and it was worse before because now the government is giving more opportunities to the people, especially for women and men. No, for women than men. Um, it wasn't an obligation in her times to get education, especially if you were a woman. She told me that she didn't have the primary or the basic school on time. She just started to get a education when she was like 10 years old, and I couldn't believe that. But she had a really complicated uh, story. Now, Masato.
Okay, so gender roles. So in Japan, so it is necessary to marry so a man and woman. So, but in the world, so it is increasing. So LGBTQ's marriage. So, but in Japan, so it is prohibited marrying. So this LGBTQ's person. So it is so it is not promoted. So marriage. And I interviewed some my grandmother. So my grandmother tells me so, and there is still discrimination. So Japanese government says so, equal of gender Japan. So but people do not believe it. So my grandmother cannot get good work because of women. So same for my mother. So but university even in university, so men and women so can choose or department. So in my summary, so it's easy. It is easy to choose department in university. So but it is difficult for women to choose good job. So in my opinion, so women and men work together, so which has good impact for working. So it is necessary to quantify gender gap in office. So if the gap is small, so this company get good incentives by government?
Okay, we found 5 points or 5 topics to compare in between Peru and Japan. The first one is about the gender roles. Um, the gender roles in Peru were too different in the past. It was so the maleness or the machism was present in people's life, and as I said, it was considered like a normal situation. In Japan, it could be the same situation because in the past there was more discrimination about the role of genders, and some people consider this situation like normal, like here. But now the gender roles are they have more sense in Japan at least, because in Peru the situation probably improved, but not like we would like to. Okay, the second topic is about that it was believed that all of them must study in a school and university career to become a professional, and he can support his family of the man. But men and in Japan, men and women could study in the same university. Actually, in Japan, it was women was available. Or they were available to study in the university in the past, but it was as Masato said, it was complicated. But in the past, it was not necessary to study in the university. And the father was characterized by giving orders to his family. On the other hand, about mothers, they obeyed her husband and took care of her sons. Uh, as I said, the father in the family is considered like the brain of the family, and woman is like the head of the family because she gives sweetness, she takes care of her family, of son, of daughters, but she cannot take decisions, she can think. And in Japan, my mom always had the responsibility to take care of their children. And it was believed that mom needed to get a direct and special contact with their children. This thinking, it's still considered like normal, but but they have explained for this because the son they need to take the values or all good things from the family. And people say that mom is being a woman is they are more patient than the men. So that's why they consider that it's really important to take care of children. Um, and actually, the government gives some conditions to the mom that led her to take care of children. Before they had to ask permission from their parents, in Peru, and in Japan, women needed a preparation to be a good wife and to be selected for their husbands. That was the role only of the woman. And people used to marry within few years, like between 15 and 18 years old. And before and now, it's usual to get married between 18 and 22 years in Japan.
Now we have our reflections. And I start. In conclusion, Japan is a country where gender roles difference are a problem until now because it has a government with wrong opinions about this topic. Unlike Peru, in Japan, women have difficulties to get a job or opportunities just like men because it's believed female gender has less abilities and knowledge than male gender. It's important to mention that in Japan, these problems were common before and they haven't changed now. However, in the case of Peru, before we had the same problems with the gender roles like Japan, because it's believed that women had to stay in their home and with their sons. Also, This discrimination was clear in the case of education because before only Peruvian people have boys' schools or universities. And finally, about family and marriage. In the past, our parents and grandparents must follow the relatives' decisions, but actually each one makes a decision about their relationship.
Okay, so it is a it looks like so same point. So Peru and between Peru and Japan's gender gender gaps. So for example, so fathers has strong power. So but it is different. Fathers has strong power in Japan. So but now it is increasing. So yet Japan women has strong power in family. So, but it is LGBTQ is not have good point and is not prohibited marrying. So, it is necessary to comparison for our in what between Japan, Peru, and the world. Okay.
And okay, my conclusion is that the time improved, especially for the role of the woman in the society. But I think that both both countries we need to still some actions to to get better, to improve our situation and to improve the how is the role of the woman in our society. I think that we should another in a, another way. I think that we should as well respect and admire, especially the older people, the older women in our families, and the older women that we know, because the situation it was really difficult for them. And I think that we should learn and we should practice, but in a good point, not in a bad point, because there is now there are movements that they are trying to combine the people that the equality of gender, and some of them go in a bad way, and that's in that case is not that's that is not good for the society. So we should learn. We should. It's always important to talk with them, to learn from there, and to practice to try to improve our situation.
That's all, teacher. Thank you.